morning. Good morning. It is 2:48 a.m. I'm on my way to the gym right now. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Something that you really hate or did not like or just created the ultimate misery for you. Could you imagine that same thing becoming something that you love to do? I remember when I first learned how to swim. I know where I was at. Matter of fact, I went back to that house like a couple years ago. I went back to that house because I happened to be in the area on an appointment for another client, and I drove by the house and I wanted to see who owned it. I wanted to see if I could get into it. But I remember where it was that I learned how to swim, and I remember I got thrown in the water. I don't know if they were being cruel. I don't know if they said, hey, listen, the only way for you to learn how to get this down is to get in. But it was one of the experiences that was done against my will that I don't feel any type of trauma. You know, when things happen to you, you feel a certain kind of way and it just kind of stays with you. Those were one of those situations where I got thrown in the water. I remember getting thrown in the water. I don't appreciate being thrown in the water, but yet everything about it allowed me to learn how to swim. Or had I not did it, had I not been thrown in, I probably would not have did anything. You know, similar to how a mother bird just pushes baby bird out of the nest. Well, you got a couple options here. But as I'm waking up, I get up and I'm actually thinking about pushing my time back another 10 minutes. Because what could that time really give me? What could that time really give me in my day? How productive could I really be in my day if I just pushed the time back? And when I used to get up like this early in the morning, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I was trying to accomplish. I was trying to do something that was hard. Because we all know that when you do something that's hard, everything else becomes easy. The person that runs up the mountain is probably going to have more endurance than the person who's walking on a straight path. Because they're building a certain level of strength inside of them by pushing themselves upwards against gravity versus somebody who's going with the flow of gravity. And I remember when I would get up, I remember being depressed. I remember thinking this isn't going to work. I remember thinking, what am I doing? I remember thinking people are going to think I'm crazy. Why are you getting up this early? Are you nuts? And I remember being sad, and I remember being depressed. So I remember all these things. And I don't remember the time that it went away. But I legitimately get excited. Like it's crazy. Like I get excited. I get excited to get up in the morning, like I get excited to come home and see my kids if they're acting right. If they're not acting right, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them. But I get excited. It's a worthwhile experience. I love it. I enjoy it. I appreciate it. Walking into the gym picking up the weight, getting on the treadmill, getting on the stair climber, doing some cardio, doing some abs. I'm not a gym rat. I don't think so. I don't spend all day in there. I go in there and get my hour out and I'm about it there. But just imagine the things that could get you further, but are the hardest to do. Imagine you get to a point where you love it. And I was having this conversation with somebody about what I eat and how I eat. And they looked at me like, that's strange. They didn't understand. They didn't understand. I'm not eating because of the variety of food. If that was the case, I'd just go to a buffet. I'm eating because I need fuel for my body. But you can't expect people who are not looking to do the supernatural to understand these things. You can't. But you also have to understand that there's going to be a huge level of uncomfortableness. And I know people talk about this uncomfortable thing, but there's a huge level of uncomfortableness even within inside of your own skin. Like I remember I was going to the LA Fitness off of, because it was right around the corner from my office, right off of, about 83rd Avenue in Union Hills. And I remember being on the 101 freeway, and I would just be sitting there thinking, are you crazy? And then I would go work out, and I'd go straight to my office. I'd get dressed. I'd meditate. I'd make a phone call to one of my out of state role play partners. And then I'd get on the phone, start dialing for sale by owners. I'd get on the phone, I'd get on this auto dialer that would just dial 1,000 phone numbers at a time. And start calling complete strangers, asking them if they would like for me to sell their home. Which, by the way, they had no intentions on letting me sell their home, but I figured I'd just jump in the middle of that transaction anyways and see if I could help out. The most nerve-wracking thing in this world, but the one thing that has built me to be the most confident individual that I can be. Because if you can get on the phone with complete strangers and try to sell them on the idea that they should pay you $15,000 to $20,000 to sell their home, which they want to sell on their own, then you ain't got no problems. But life becomes easier when we do the things that we don't want to do. Because everything else just kind of falls in line. When you make the right decision about, I think last night, there's not a Chick-fil-A around us, and there's not a Panda Express. There might be, but those are stuff I really don't eat. I didn't have nothing. I haven't had any in a long time, and I happened to be on that side of town. It was late at night. I knew by the time I made it home. So I went and I met with my client. After I left my client, went over there, got close to Chick-fil-A, seen Panda Express. I was like, oh man, some orange chicken would be a nice little treat right now. Some orange chicken with some chow mein, that's not bad. So I got the Chick-fil-A, looked, said, nah, no Chick-fil-A. It's not really my thing. Seen Panda Express. Let's go to Panda Express. Got to Panda Express. And at the moment I pulled up the Panda Express, I had to make a decision. Am I going to consume this right now? Then I seen a grocery store across the street. And I made the decision not to consume that at 7:30 at night. Instead, I went across the street. I knew my kids needed cereal in the morning. I knew that I could eat a bowl of cereal tonight, which my favorite cereal is Cheerios. Not Honey Nut Cheerios, Cheerios. And on the Cheerios, I like to put my own honey. See, when you do the things you don't want to do, it makes making the decisions easier. It's staying in that comfort zone of doing only what I'm comfortable doing that doesn't allow us to progress. You got to get out of that zone. That's the only way you're going to grow.